The radical, fundamental principles of freedom, rational self-interest, and individual rights. This is the Yaron Brook Show.
All right, everybody. Welcome to the Yaron Brook Show on this Monday, May 20th. It's almost my birthday. I hope you had a great weekend. I hope you're having a great start to the week. Mine has been hectic all around, so I feel like I'm breathless as if I run a marathon. It seems like I'm never catching up. Anyway, thank you guys for joining me. Crazy news, I guess. Two main stories we'll talk about is a little insane. So let's start with Iran. As you probably know from other media sources, unless you really don't listen to the news and you only get your news from here, the Iranian president and his foreign secretary went down in a helicopter crash over the weekend. I think we discussed a story about him meeting the Azerbaijani president. Actually, I was a little concerned because Azerbaijan is an ally of Israel. It's strategically located on the border with Iran in the north. It gets its weapons from Israel. It is a ally. It is anti-Russia generally. It has been very anti-Iran. It's secular. It's a dictatorship, so not a nice country in that sense, but it's secular and has stood against Iran. And Iran and Azerbaijan have had very hostile relationships because something like, 20% to a third of the Iranian population are Azari, which means they belong to the Azari tribe. The Azari tribe is basically, this is a tribal part of the world, is basically a Turkish tribe. So it's related to the Turks. And Azerbaijan is the land of the Azaris. Iran would love to have Azerbaijan. It also has a lot of oil. And Iran is afraid that Azerbaijan would like to have a chunk of Iran where these Azaris all live. So a lot of hostility, suspicion there. Anyway, there was this meeting between the Azari president and the Iranian president. And they were all smiles and friendly and good, the beginnings of a great relationship. It appeared, and which was worrisome. And then the Iranian president got on a plane. I don't know if we talked about this because this must have happened all on Saturday. So I don't know that we talked about it on Friday. Anyway, he got on a plane, got on a helicopter with his foreign minister and a couple of others, officials and bodyguard and everything, and they got on this helicopter, 9, I think, people, and they flew off. And the helicopter kind of vanished from the screens, and the Iranians immediately deployed search and rescue, and just to show you how incompetent and how primitive the technology the Iranians ultimately have, they have missiles and they have a nuclear program, but they can't find a missing president. They basically searched and searched, couldn't find him. Now, the weather was bad. It was raining, snowing, sleeting, and a lot of wind, and it's in a mountainous area with forests and everything, but they couldn't find him. And it actually needed a drone, a Turkish drone, which has infrared search capabilities, right? That's my confusion. So I talked about it on my show on Saturday that was in Hebrew. So I did a show where I talked about this, but not to you guys, at least not the you guys out there who don't understand Hebrew. So I talked about it to other people. Anyway, helicopter went down and they're searching for him. They were searching for him. They got the Turks sent this long-range drone that had infrared. The drone found the heat signal of the helicopter, basically crashed in a remote part close to the Azerbaijan border. Search and rescue were then targeted there. It took them, I don't know, many hours, half a day, I think it took them to find the helicopter, only to discover what I think most people suspected anyway, and that is that everybody on the helicopter was dead, and the president of Iran, as well as the foreign minister, are dead. The Iranian people were in suspense. On the one hand, you could see in some city centers prayer gatherings to pray for, under the hope that maybe he survived the crash, and other parts of the city, fireworks. I mean, the Iranians do not hold back. Fireworks in celebration of the helicopter going down. Iranians online were dancing, playing music, having a grand old time. To give you a sense of why, the president of Iran, Raisi, was called the Butcher of Baghdad. He was responsible for the deaths, or signed the death warrants, literally signed the death warrants in the early days of the revolution, the late 1980s. The death warrants to thousands of individuals who were not ideologically pure enough or not part of the regime's plans. Thousands of people were killed by this man. He has been the president, of course, during this Gold Revolution, suppressed that revolution and killed many young people, hung them from cranes. Many young people have been killed by this monster. So yes, I'm with the fireworks crowd. I'm with the let's celebrate this crowd. Not too much celebration, not out of respect for him. I have zero, zilch, nada. I am happy he is dead. I only hope that when the helicopter crashed, he survived the crash and died slowly in the cold and wet of that night. What did I call him? The butcher of what? Baghdad. Oh, sorry. God. The butcher of Tehran, of course, not the butcher of Baghdad. He's Iranian. The butcher of Tehran. He was killing Iranians, not Iraqis. Anyway, he is, he was a bad man, and good riddance. The world is better off for him having died. His foreign secretary was just as bad, a nasty villain, somebody who was behind much of what Hamas did, and was the chief liaison with Hamas in Syria and Hezbollah in Lebanon and everybody else. So another nasty character, good riddance to him too. But the problem is, I mean, this is why celebration should be muted, is, all right, so the president is dead. Long live the new president. So the vice president is taking over the responsibilities of the president. He will take that on for 50 days. Within these 50 days, new elections will be held. There'll be a new monster running the Iranian regime at the end of those 50 days. It doesn't matter who gets elected. They're all monsters. They're all nasty, horrible human beings. Human beings is a stretch for these guys. Yeah, I mean, there's a sense in which it doesn't matter that this guy won. Whoops, why is that happening? All right, Miroslav, I need your help. All right, let's try this. It wants me to put in the key. I don't have the key. All right, maybe Miroslav can save us. Let's see. I'll redo this. Start. All right, it's working. I just need to do a couple of things. This will be quick. Anyway, so we'll have a new president of Iran, and again, just as bad as I think this one. I don't think there's any chance that we're going to get anything better. A new foreign minister has already been named. The vice foreign minister will become foreign minister, just as bad as what we have today. No real difference. Iran is not, the problem with Iran are not any specific personalities. The problem in Iran is not this guy's bad and that guy's mean and this guy's nasty. The problem with Iran is the philosophy guiding the administration, guiding what they do. The problem with Iran is the regime as a whole and the ideology driving this regime. The pieces are all replaceable, including the supreme leader. The supreme leader, Khamenei, is only the second supreme leader to rule Iran. The first one was Khomeini. This one's Khamenei. If you can tell the difference, that's great. I think that, I mean, there is a difference. I think I pronounce them differently. But anyway, these are horrible, nasty people. Anyway, the president, Raisi, was supposed to be one of the candidates for the supreme leader role. But even if supreme leader dies, somebody else will take his place. Anyway, because he's getting old, so he's going to die soon. So that'll be another day of celebration. So there are two real candidates. There were two real candidates. The president, who just died, sees off. So it looks like the next supreme leader of Iran will be another Khamenei. It will be the son of the existing supreme leader. So we've got a dynasty going. We've got a hereditary dynasty of Khamenei supreme leaders who are dominating Iran. So yes, that is. So that's why nothing much is changing, other than politically. This means Khamenei's son will be the new supreme leader, but nothing much more of significance here. Is there a chance that this helicopter was sabotaged? Sure, there's definitely a chance. It could have been. It could have been the Azeris. Azerbaijan could have done this. They could have lured him in while the two presidents were meeting. They could have tinkered with a helicopter or something like that and caused it to be knocked down. That's a possibility, but fairly unlikely. It could have been an internal faction within Iran that hates, hated the president and wanted him gone. Maybe even the son of the supreme leader who wanted to secure his place. And that is possible. I can't rule that out. It could have been the Israelis or the CIA, but in both cases, they don't have the balls. I mean, wouldn't it have been amazing if this morning or yesterday morning, Israel would have come out and said, yep, we did it. We'll do it again. Supreme leader, you're next. Hamas leaders, yeah, if we're willing to take out the president of Iran, you're up. You're going to get it. Wouldn't have that been amazing? Amazing. But no, that ain't happening. So I don't think Israel had the balls to do it, and certainly not to admit to do it, even if they did. I think this was an accident, unfortunately. I really, really wish he had been killed by somebody who cares enough to kill him. That would have been amazing news. It would suggest that somebody in this world has the balls to take out an evil bastard. But it turns out, probably, most likely, the answer is nobody does. And it was an accident, bad pilot, bad weather, who knows, and things happened. Here's a disgusting note about this, and it just illustrates. We'll get to more disgusting news in a minute. It just illustrates, I guess, the state of the world, the kind of world that we live in. It's just, but this is it, right? The UN National Security Council, the Security Council, not the General Assembly, Security Council, in which the United States has a permanent seat, held a moment of silence today for the late president of Iran, Ibrahim Raisi, also known as the Butcher of Tehran, who died yesterday in a helicopter crash in northern Iran. UN National Security Council held a moment of silence. I mean, that's enough to say that, no, we shouldn't be members in the UN. The UN is a useless, pathetic, waste of time, money-sucking, and morality-sucking organization that the United States should leave as soon as possible. And any other country with any kind of self-esteem should leave. So unbelievable. This is the United Nations that the United States is the biggest funder of, and that sits there on the Security Council with Russia and China sharing veto power over decisions. And what is the purpose? What is the value? What does the U.S. get out of it? A lot of negativity, a lot of negative stuff. Marilyn, thank you for the sticker. Really appreciate it. Silvanos, thank you for the $20 sticker. And I think John also did a $20 sticker. Thank you, John. A few reminders. This show is Mondays, are always a short show. It's always an hour. And then we've got the interview tonight. Keith Lockitch is going to be talking about physics, philosophy, and teaching at the ARU. He's teaching physics. So if you've got any physics questions, if you've got any physics and philosophy questions, if you got any ARU questions, this is going to be fun, and I encourage you to join us. So this is Keith Lockitch tonight at 7 p.m. So Mondays is always 1 hour, and then an interview in the evening. So no change of format there. This is the new format. I do have a poll. You might notice where I'm asking you, what do you prefer, the old or the new format? So please feel free to vote on the poll. I am not Elon Musk, and therefore I am not guaranteeing to follow the poll, but I am interested in your views. I am considering the alternatives. And I would value your opinion. The problem with the poll, and this is the problem with before, is that you basically are split 50-50. Right now the poll is at 50-50 or 51-49 for the old, but it's basically 50-50 because the margin is not big enough for me to say, oh, my listeners want me to do this. It's even if one side wins, it seems to be close. But this is interesting. It is interesting to see how close it really is. Excuse me. So please participate in the poll. The poll is in the chat. I might put a poll up on Twitter as well, because people who don't watch live complain about not being able to participate in this poll. So I might put that out again. So don't forget to join us for Keith Lockitch for tonight. All right. Let's see. Yes, disgusting news. Talk about disgusting news. The International Criminal Court. The International Criminal Court. Also in The Hague, not to be confused with the International Court of Justice, although they are related. The International Court of Justice is a court in which states can complain about other states, in a sense, sue other states, for violations of human rights or whatever. And that's the court in which South Africa, now Egypt has joined it, is complaining about Israel's war in Gaza as genocide. So they're accusing Israel of genocide. That's in the International Court of Justice. In the International Criminal Court, prosecutors with the court, just like attorney generals in the U.S. system, can issue arrest warrants and initiate proceedings to prosecute anybody in the world who they view as violating, again, human rights, committing war crimes, committing crimes against whatever. This is a system that 124 countries have signed on to. There's a treaty that regulates this. 124 of them. Some countries that haven't signed include the United States, Israel, Russia, China, India. Those are some big countries that haven't signed, a bunch of African countries. But most of European countries, South American countries have signed this treaty and are part of this. Anyway, this morning, the prosecutor at the International Court, Criminal Court, basically issued arrest warrants for 4 individuals. Sinwar, the military leader of Hamas in Gaza, Muhammad Daif, the leader of Al-Qassam brigades, that is the number 2 leader in Gaza, and actually 3 warrants for Hamas, and Ismail Haniyeh, the political leader of Hamas, who is in Qatar, which will be interesting to see. I'm not sure if Qatar is a signator, because if Qatar is a signator, they have to immediately hand over what's his name, Haniyeh, to the court in The Hague. Now, that is okay in my reading. These are all criminals. I don't think they should be handed over to The Hague. I think they should be executed, ideally very, very slowly. But they should be executed, and I hope Israel has a detailed plan on executing all 3 of them. I know they are actively searching for Sinwar and Daif, and they have, I think, promised Haniyeh that they're going to kill him. They've already killed his sons, and the rest of his family. They're going to kill him. However, the court wants them. But in addition to these 3 Hamas leaders, the court has also issued an arrest warrant for the Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, and the Minister of Defense in Israel, Gallant. I mean, I'm speechless. It really is stunning. It's stunning that anybody has an authority to do such a thing. It's stunning that a country fighting a war of self-defense has to deal with this crap, has to deal with, an international organization demanding that they be arrested. If Netanyahu goes on a state visit to the United Kingdom is obliged to arrest him and send him to The Hague in handcuffs. That would be true of France or Germany, Italy, anywhere in Europe pretty much. Luckily, he can still travel to America or China or Russia, although I don't think he'd want to. I mean, this is just stunning. Now, I also expect that if this goes through, that there will be arrest warrants over the years for pretty much every commander of Israeli troops in Gaza. Right? Also notice that there's a moral equivalency of placing these Hamas leaders with a bunch of Israeli politicians. One, a clear initiator of force, and others defending themselves, and Israel defending itself, and Hamas, of course, murderous initiators. This is really pretty stunning. These organizations should not exist. The United Nations should not exist. The International Criminal Court should not exist. The International Court of Justice should not exist. I'm glad that the United States, at least on the latter two, did not join. And I'm glad Israel did not join the latter two. They shouldn't be members of the UN either. But this is pretty despicable and disgusting. Yeah, I don't know what you kind of how do you what you do with this. I mean, Israel is in real trouble when its prime minister now cannot travel abroad, and who knows who else. I mean, this if you look at Israeli media right now, everybody from the left, the opposition in Israel, pretty much everybody across the entire political spectrum in Israel is condemning this and condemning this decision. This is truly a despicable, immoral, irrational decision by this body, a body that should not exist and nobody should be the signature of. Now the test will be, are there any countries in the world who have the courage, who have the balls to actually leave the ICC and the ICJ as a consequence of this? Is any country going to say, this is so ridiculous, we don't want to be associated with this? It's not going to be the UK. I doubt it's going to be any European country. Maybe Milei in Argentina? Maybe Milei in Argentina? I mean, that would certainly single him out. That would certainly make him, really unique in the world beyond everything else that we know about him. That would really differentiate him. So that would be super exciting to see him do that. So I don't know. It's depressing to see kind of just the state of the world. Israel is a litmus test. It's not the issue of it being Israel. It's that it's a litmus test to where people stand. This is, I think, why one must completely and thoroughly condemn the Libertarian Party and libertarians, libertarians associated with them. This is why I must thoroughly condemn people like, I don't know, what's her name, Owens and Tucker Carlson and all the other ugly anti-Israeli. If you're anti-Israeli after October 7th, if you're in a sense pro-Hamas after October 7th, it's beyond the pale. Even if Israel's not perfect, far from perfect. Even Israel's not the most important topic in the world. It's not. It's such a contrast of good and evil. And if people side with evil when the contrast is this, then there's no hope for them. There really is no hope for them. Here's the accusation against Netanyahu and Gallant. Starvation of civilians as a method of warfare, as a war crime. Starvation. Think about all the aid trucks, the electricity, the water still flowing into the Gaza Strip from Israel. This is like the most humanitarian war ever. Willfully causing great suffering or serious injury to body or healthy contrary to article or cruel treatment. What are you supposed to do when you're fighting an enemy that's hiding among the civilian population? You're not supposed to cause suffering? You're not supposed to cause injury? How do you fight a war if you can't cause suffering or injury? This is willfully killing. Intentionally directing attacks against the civilian population as a war crime. Intentionally directing attacks against the civilian population. Like Dresden, Hiroshima, Nagasaki, like any urban warfare where some civilians get in the way. Extermination and or murder, contrary to article, whatever, including in the context of death caused by starvation. Where is there a death caused by starvation? Where is the famine in Gaza? Where are these civilians who are starving to death? Persecution of a crime against humanity. I mean, if anything, Israel should be commended for protecting humanity against the evil of the jihadis. I mean, yeah, this is about as low as it gets, about as low as it gets. And but this is the world in which we live. This is Europe. This is the ICC. These are the kind of immoral and complete blindness to morality that they have. All right. 74 votes in the poll. We've got 150 people watching. Some of you should go over, some of you watching, if you have access to the chat, I think you have access to chat in the app on the phone as well. Jump over and vote. And I have a bunch of other topics, but we're gonna skip them for now, and I'll go to the super chat because we do have a hard stop at 3 p.m. since I've got a class to teach at that point. And I do want to remind you of a few things. If you're interested in attending my class on finance at the Peterson Academy, not only will you then get, I think, a year free of attending, of accessing the Peterson Academy courses, supposedly they're going to do a soft launch at the end of May so that you'll have a year from whenever they launch. But also you get to see, I think, a unique kind of setup for taping these things. You'll get to see me in action over 8 hours. You'll get to attend the class. It'll be fun. We'll get to hang out in between classes. So please consider joining and coming. It is a big time commitment. It is 2 classes on Monday, 3 on Tuesday, 3 on Wednesday. It starts this coming Monday. You can sign up or apply to attend at petersonacademy.com/Brook. petersonacademy.com/Brook. Then I want to remind everybody that, let's see, that I will be teaching a public speaking seminar. If you do presentations at work, or you just like to get more comfortable standing up in front of a group and talking, if you'd like to learn how to get yourself in a good position to be able to do that, if you also want to learn how to organize a presentation, how to think about a presentation, how to present content to any group. It doesn't matter if it's business. It doesn't matter if it's a toast at a wedding. It doesn't matter if it's an intellectual lecture. No matter what reason you have to be doing some kind of public presentation, I think you'll learn a lot from my public speaking seminar, and you will get to practice, and I'll be able to give you feedback. And all of that is going to be happening at the end of OCON, the day after OCON. It will be a full day. You'll have plenty of time for one-on-one and feedback and interaction. It's going to be a small group. It'll be under 10. And I still have a few slots available. If you'd like to do that, please go to yaronbrookshow.com/workshop. By the way, we have a store now, a shop with all kind of Merc stuff, like merchandise, and you can get that on my YouTube channel. You press shop, or you can go to my website, yaronbrookshow.com, and press shop or store. And we've got some T-shirts. We've got a hoodie with Yaron Brook Show on it. Somebody wanted a hoodie, I think. We've got a hoodie. We've got a mug. We've got a hat, a kind of cool-looking hat, and we've got some pins. So go there, shop. You might as well spend your money. Merc, swag, whatever you guys call it. Abertin wants pajamas. We can probably make you pajamas, but yeah, go buy some stuff and have fun. And lastly, just to remind you to support the show. This show is funded through listeners like you, whether you're here live and can do a super chat or a sticker. Please consider doing a sticker to support the show, value for value. But if you're not live, please consider supporting the show. Make sure that it is on strong financial footing. And you can do that on Patreon or on yaronbrookshow.com/membership. And that is all cool. I'm also going to gift a few, I'm also going to gift some memberships right now. I'm going to gift 5 memberships. So 5 people who were not members are just going to become members right now. So we'll see who that has. On the Leroy, Don Allen, Mindspan Wellness, Alejandro, and Boaz Galil have just become members. I gifted them a membership. All right. I don't control who gets it, so don't come lobbying me for a membership. I don't control who. And there will be a members-only show in 2 weeks on sculpture. So we'll be doing that. All right. Let's go to the super chat. Remo says, value for value. Thank you for everything you do. Oh, thank you, Remo. That was $26. I appreciate it. Mary Aline, any chance the helicopter was tampered with? I answered that. There's always a chance. I just think it's unlikely. I think it's unlikely given, I don't know, countries like Israel and the United States don't execute foreign leaders. They should, but they don't. And the Azeris, I don't think, are incentivized enough. Maybe Iranian opposition. That's the only one that it's possible, but I think still very unlikely. Hiram, in the past week, I created and donated belted carriable power banks to an individual in cybersecurity believed to be in intelligence, as well as Magen David Adom to keep their phones going. Hopefully, it is good use. Yeah, I mean, Magen David Adom is like the ambulance service in Israel. So, unfortunately, that is used to carry soldiers and everybody else and to hospitals, and there are daily people being injured and in the conflict. And the carriable power banks and cybersecurity, I know nothing about. It sounds really cool. It sounds really important. It sounds really valuable. So yeah, thank you. That sounds like a good use of donations. By the way, you too can gift membership if you go to the $, where you usually do a super chat or you do a sticker. You can press that and you can gift a membership, and it's just another way of supporting the show and creating more members. But please consider doing that. Generally, stickers. What we're looking for now is $59 to reach our goal for the super chat. We've only got 20 minutes or maybe a little less before the end of the show. Please consider supporting the show with a sticker. Even $1 to $5 will get us to the 59. We don't need a lot to get to 59, right? All right, Paul says, in reference to the science of physics being difficult to understand, physicist Neil de Grasse Tyson has said, the universe is under no obligation to make sense to you. Can you comment on a statement, is it epistemologically valid? Well, I don't know, right? It's not really valid in the sense that the universe can have no obligations. But in the sense that just because you don't understand something doesn't mean it's not true, he's right? That is, you as an individual, there's a lot in physics you're not going to understand. Physics is hard. Physics requires, modern physics in particular, requires a real level of abstract thinking. And it is not simple or easy or straightforward to get it, to understand it, even if you're very smart. So in that sense, if a theory is very difficult and it doesn't mean that it's not true. If a theory it's hard for people to understand, it doesn't mean it's not true. Now, somebody has to understand it. And nothing is beyond human understanding in a sense that somebody gets to understand it. But that when saying nothing is beyond human understanding, it doesn't mean every human being. It just means human beings, right? So I think the sentiment expressed in it is true, even though epistemologically the statement itself is not true. Jennifer, when I got in a fight as a kid, I would say, but I didn't start it. And they would say, it doesn't matter who started it. we can see where that attitude leads the world. Yes, absolutely. I thought that was a huge injustice, that I would get blamed for fighting back, and I would always fight back. I would always stand up to the bullies and get into fights because of that. And I thought it was a huge injustice that I was treated the same as the bully who started it. But that is the world in which we live in. That is the demand of altruism. Let's see. Applejack, did you ever meet John Ridpath? I'm watching YouTube videos of Leonard and John debate socialists. Yeah, absolutely. I met Applejack. By the way, this is his third super chat on live stream. Absolutely met John Ridpath. I got to spend quite a bit of time with him over the years in different places. I visited in Toronto at least once, maybe twice, and hired him as a speaker at some of my conferences when I ran conferences. He was on the board of directors of the Ayn Rand Institute. He was on the board of directors of the Ayn Rand Institute that hired me in 1999. I started a job in 2000. Yeah, John was great. Was just an amazing guy. Really fun to hang out with. Really personable. Really friendly. His son, actually, after many, many years of not being at Ocon, is going to be at Ocon. So, if you come to Ocon, you can meet John Ridpath's son, who will be there. John was a good guy, one of the good guys, and it was always fun to hang out with him. Let's see, Tana, also a third super chat. Thank you, Tana. Tana says, "Hi, Yaron. I would like to hear your thoughts on the recent King Charles portrait that was unveiled, if you have seen it." I've seen it. I haven't really studied it. I kind of saw it vaguely. I thought it was pretty ugly. Not particularly good art, not particularly good portrait art. I'm not a big fan of King Charles. I don't care that much. But it was monochrome. Trying to be bridge between representation. I guess the face was somewhat him, but also modern in the sense that the rest was pretty blotchy and unidentifiable. It was. I didn't like it. It was horrible. Not good art. Nothing interesting about it. And a pretty negative portrayal of the king. Not that I mind that, because I'm not a fan of the king, but then why have a portrait, right? Pretty ugly. All right. Erika Felix. You think Israel Mossad is behind the helicopter? I've already said I don't think so. I don't think they have the balls. I wish. My view is I wish. Marilyn, thank you for the sticker. Gail, thank you for the sticker. We basically need, a few more stickers to get to where we need. Like Gail, 4 of those stickers, we get there. We're looking for $21 to get to our goal. So please consider either stickerizing it or asking a question for $20. Shay says, just chiming in to say that I love the new format and hope you find a way to make it work financially. Rarely watched live in either format, though I contribute monthly. Thanks, Shay. Really appreciate the support. Oyvind, would you try to invite Stuart Hameroff? I don't know who Stuart Hameroff is. He has, with Robert Penrose, made a theory where consciousness and free will can be supported by quantum physics. I find it hard to believe that I would do that, right? Because I'm not qualified to talk to him about it, right? I don't know anything about quantum physics. I don't know if what he thinks about quantum physics is true. I don't know enough about consciousness. That is, I wouldn't be a good interviewer. A good interviewer would dig deep into this and challenge him and try to really get to, does this make any sense or not? And I just know enough to be that kind of interviewer, right? I do find it interesting. I do find it, plausible, I guess. But I don't know. It's still, I still worry about what is the distinction between physics and biology. And if we don't really understand how physics and biology work, interact, and maybe we do, maybe I just don't know, how can we say what consciousness is? It just strikes me as there's so much more that needs to be thought of, discovered, theorized before we get to, here's a physics theory of consciousness. I just don't think we're ready there. I don't think we're ready for that. I think it's premature. I know everybody wants to do it because it's exciting and it's fun and it's one of the great mysteries of our lives and our world. But I just think it's premature. And yeah. Anyway, let's. Why don't you come over on the show tonight and ask Keith Lockridge what he thinks about that work? He might have an opinion. You know, he knows at least he knows something about quantum, more about quantum mechanics than I do. Apollo Zeus has a question. Your thoughts on the cover of The Selfish Path to Romance by Ed Locke and Ellen Kenner? Oh God, I have that book somewhere. But all right, I'm gonna have to look it up, right? Because I don't remember it. I don't remember the cover. So give me a second. We'll look it up. There it is. Yeah, I mean, come on. There it is. Who sculpted that? I mean, I can't really see it. I would like to see it more than one angle and with more close-up. If I was going to comment on the sculpture itself, I don't think it's fair for me to comment on a sculpture from such a mediocre photograph and from such a distance and only one angle. Remember, one of the most important things about sculpture is it's a three-dimensional art form, so you would have to present more photos and more stuff like that from different angles. I would say that I like the sentiment of the sculpture. I don't know that I like it from the perspective of the technique. It could be a little bit more, So I like the sentiment. I shouldn't really comment without seeing the faces, because it's all going to be in the face. I like the pose. I like the fact that he's cupping her face. They're leaning in for a kiss. I like all that. It's really beautiful. So I like the composition. But you can't, particularly in an intimate sculpture like that, to really get it, right? To really get it and evaluate it, you really need to see the faces, and you need to see it in three-dimensional. So, good idea. I can't really say anything about the execution. So I would like to find out if anybody knows what sculpture that is and whether we can find a source, like maybe some photos of it, and I can look at it from multiple directions. John, thank you for the sticker. Mike, thank you for the sticker. Applejack, thank you for the sticker and getting out to our target. Also, Applejack, that was the third super chat on a live stream, so thank you. Thank you, guys. YouTube tells me when it's a first, a third, a 10th, maybe a 20th. Paul, why does anyone argue these sacrosancts that fascists are just offshoots of Marxist ideology, which has permeated our colleges for decades? Why doesn't anyone argue that these sacrosancts are fascists? Something grammatically is off there. because I don't think they are offshoots of Marxism. I think it's superficial and wrong to say that every leftist ideology that we have out there that is horrible and disgusting is an offshoot of Marx, because I don't think it is. I think it's much more of an offshoot of, Hegel and Kant than it is of Marx. I think Marx's ideology has been abandoned by the left to a large extent. I think it's unjust of Marx to blame him for a lot of this crap, as horrible as Marx was. And I'm sure he'd celebrate everything that they do. They're not doing it on the basis of Marxism. If Marxism means anything as an ideology, they're not. They don't believe in the historical necessity and in the success of capitalism and the socialism is replacing it. They don't believe in the proletarian. They don't give one iota about the proletarian. They don't actually believe in any of this. And if anything, the fascists on American campuses today are an offshoot of Christianity, because I think intersectionality is an offshoot of a Christianity, and of Kant and Hegel and so on, but Kant certainly. The whole idea of oppressor, oppressed, and dividing the world that way, and oppressor must apologize to the oppressed, and everything like that, is just as consistent with Christianity as it is with Marxism. But really what their offshoots are, in terms of the modern new left, they're offshoots of postmodernism. They're offshoots of the postmodernist evolution into identitarianism. And postmodernists were actually trying to save the left from Marx. Marxism had failed from their perspective. Marxism did not come to be reality. That is, they observed in their 40s, 50s, 60s, that Marxism did not lead to the utopia of the proletarian. And therefore, they were trying to come up with an alternative theoretical framework for a leftist ideology. And postmodernism and identitarianism and all we have today is that. Right? So, that is. I think it's too simplistic to call them Marxists, and I think it's a mistake. And I don't think it helps anything, because real Marxists will say, "Well, that's not us." Even if we agree with them, it's just not. They're not basing it on our philosophy. Marx was not Jewish. Marx was Christian. He was Baptist. I can't remember. He came from Jewish origins, but he was raised as a Christian. But I can't remember if his grandfather, grandmother, grand-something were Jewish. But there was, at some point, either Marx or his father or somebody converted. But Marx himself was not Jewish when he wrote everything. He hated the Jews. His first essay that was published was on the Jewish question, which is a anti-Semitic screed. A very sophisticated, very, I talk about it in my talk about anti-Semitism. So Marx was an evil guy, but he was not raised Jewish. Marx was ethnically Jewish, whatever the hell that means. I don't know what that means, given that he converted to Christianity. I don't know what ethnically Jewish means. He had DNA-wise, he comes from Jewish stock. Yes, whatever the hell that means, right? All right, I have to answer this question quickly, and then we're done. Oyvind asks, I'm asleep during your interview. Ask your guest if he has anything to comment regarding the Roger Penrose, Stuart Hameroff ORCH-OR has been tested in experiments, scares determinists big time. All right? I'm curious how you would even test it in an experiment. I'm afraid to ask, because my sense is it probably are bad experiments. But anyway, again, I just don't think we have enough of a grasp of the questions to really have an answer to the questions, or enough of a grasp of the science to have these overarching theories and tests. Okay, guys. Anti-capitalism and anti-Semitism, which I start with I start with a quote from Marx. Okay, Andrew, last question. I have to run. If at least the last question, if you guys want the question answered. Otherwise, I'll keep them over for another show. More non-objectivists are properly identifying oppressor-oppressed dynamics as a main societal problem. However, they don't tie it to Christianity. Why? Well, because Christians of today are associated with the right, not the left. They don't have a philosophical understanding of Christianity and what it actually meant and its history as a socialist, really, religion, a communist, even religion. I mean, the first communist, experiments were all Christian. And they don't want to offend. They don't think in those terms. They don't think about the role of ideas in history, partially. So, and a lot of them, a lot of people who get the oppressor-oppressed are Christian themselves, and they don't want to blame it on Christianity. But it's there. It's absolutely there. Altruism. All right, tonight, 7 p.m., Keith Lockridge. We're talking physics. We'll talk, I don't know, consciousness. We'll talk, is the universe finite, and what is its shape? And we'll talk about what he's teaching at the Ayn Rand University and how you can sign up and take one of his classes. And whatever else you ask about. So please show up, 7 p.m., right here, same place, same location, 7 p.m. See you then. Bye, everybody.